And that's the noisy part. Whew. There we go, baby. I'm gonna get rid of the wet towel. Come here. Can I have this? Can I have this, please? You're still a little too damp. Do you want your pillow? You want a pillow? Here we go. Have a pillow. All right, so now I get to move to the thankfully much quieter stand dryer. I was hoping to get done before drying before I went live, but time ran out on me. So that does tend to happen. And for anybody watching, I am streaming on more than one platform. Okay. Now, one of the best things about brushing poodles is when you're dealing with show cookies, you never clip your wrist, which is great because I actually have rather sore wrists. So the fact that I'm not using my wrist to do this is very good for me. And if anybody has questions, you can ask them at any time. I do try and keep an eye on the chat on both platforms, but I can't guarantee I won't miss a question or two. So. Thank you for the likes, everybody. I do appreciate it very, very much. Just gonna double check something here. Give me one moment. There we go. So, anybody watching, I am streaming on more than one platform. On both the Y and the T video platforms. You know you can use your pillow, sweetheart. All right? You know you can use that, okay? So we are taking this baby girl down into what in the US and is officially known as a modified continental, and in Canada is officially known as the scissored continental. However, informally, both countries refer to it either as a modified or a historically correct continental, depending on the exact length of it. And this sweetheart was supposed to be in the big full Philly hair that you see most show poodles in, but somewhat is very hard to maintain for me and really very much likes to rub all her hair out. So we decided for her last 2 points, the best decision for her would be to go into a scissored continental trim. She's not a dog that enjoys showing so much as she enjoys having people love her, on her, and give her attention. So, well, showing isn't a chore for her. It's not something we want to make a career out of for her. So, we're gonna get her championship, and we're gonna go ahead and call it a day. And yes, thank you, Fancy Pillow. I'm gonna move this one down a bit so we can kind of have more dog, less me. There we go. So. This is a bit of a process, but with shorter hair, once I scissor a bunch of this off, it's going to be a lot quicker of a process in the long run. There we go. Vessels. All right. Yes, Belinda, she is a princess. She does want to be adored, but she does not want to be made to have to work or think or do anything other than being the little hellion she enjoys being the most. Um, if she could spend all her days causing shenanigans and trouble and jumping into things that she shouldn't be jumping into, like solid objects, including people's heads, that would be her ideal life. Unfortunately, most solid things are not good for her to be jumping into, so she cannot have her ideal life. So she'll have to suffer for being a show dog and a rather pampered pet in many, many circumstances. I don't know how loud this dryer is coming through on either system, but you know, chasing, yes, her other part of her ideal life would be chasing and torturing my poor cat. But I can't say my cat is too poor because she gives as good as she gets. There's been more than one time where she has pretty much aliened herself onto one of my dog's faces or snuck up on them and attacked me from behind, grabbing their legs. Um, I've heard horrible yowls and looked over to see, a dog standing there looking confused while this cat attacks their legs. So, I can't really say poor Brew all the time because, she's not innocent by any means. So, yes. You guys get to join me for the fun parts and the boring parts of this room, although you got to be lucky enough to miss most of the very loud, noisy force fry and the bath time, which is never very much fun because there's a portion there where we literally just sit and she gets to soak in her conditioner and Secret Weapon is the name of the other product that she gets to soak in. So she instigates it. Yeah, do you mean Brew or Cinder? Because they're both pretty much instigators. There, there are times where Brew's minding her own business, and a dog's like, I'm bored, let's chase. And there's times where the dogs are minding their own business, and Brew's like, I shall cause chaos. So the not being shown today is my white quartered dog Fred is also got a bath today. And because she needs frequent bathing to help get those cords to looking good and nice and tight. And I would like to try and bring her out and show her maybe a nice warm-up show sometime this winter if she's ready for it. Who knows? Obviously, it's something that has to wait until after I start working again, which thankfully begins at the end of July. Oh, perfect. So at least on one system, I don't know if it is on TikTok, but on YouTube, you can't really hear the fan dryer, so that's a bonus. However, the last dryer was incredibly loud. Clean out my brush. My brush is fairly clean while I'm doing this. because, much as I hate to admit it, I did let Cinder get a little bit matted between grooms here, so that's my fault. It means I'm gonna have to do a little bit more brushing to get her to be in a place where I can get her scissored and looking good. So I really feel like unfortunately YouTube has a better view of me, which frankly I don't think you need to see. But, I think it also has a better angle on seeing my dog, but it's also a much better camera than the phone one that I'm doing TikTok on. So, but anybody, if you have questions, comments, feel free to share. And I just got an alarm saying that rain was starting soon, which is not unsurprising considering the weather in my area lately. I'm just lucky I'm one of the areas that did not get the snow and did not flood like many other places nearby that got snow or frost or flood. So you may enjoy the view of me, but I don't enjoy the view of me. So basically, for those of you who don't know, if you're slickering a dog, you feel any sort of pull or scratching feeling while you're brushing them, chances are there's some sort of matting in the way. So, and I'm just trying to make sure that as we're going through her, that we end up with a dog that is more or less mat free, so I can get her beautifully scissored up and ready for finishing off her show career in the new year. And we're gonna take her nice and short so that we'll have some nice healthy hair to grow out as it gets longer, and hopefully won't be as hard to keep from matting. So, and if y'all could see, but I don't feel like turning around my camera, is poor Fred is huddled up in her special little microfiber robe, drying off from bath time. She always looks so miserable when she's drying off, and honestly, either that or the blow dryer, and she doesn't really like the blow dryer either. So, you can't really win some days. So, and in case anybody wondering, this is a Oster stand dryer that I'm using. If you're not familiar with it, unfortunately, I don't believe they make these anymore. But boy, are they nice dryers. I have two of them. I hope they last forever. So far, so good. And I'm also using the Artero Flex Slicker, which is a two-sided slicker. One side is hard, one side is soft. Which I find it is, because it has that flex in it. If you're trying to demat a dog, it's definitely a lot more gentle in the long run. So, and unfortunately, dematting a dog is also what I am doing when they're still wet or dry. It's easier to brush them while they're dry, but it's also they're going to dry quicker if I brush them out with a dryer. So this is when they're wet, you're more likely to end up damaging the hair. So I don't usually put as much effort in until they're fully dry. If it was easier to brush them wet, I would probably brush them in the bath with the conditioner in them. Unfortunately, that just not good for their kind of hair. It's just too fragile. Doesn't have that kind of elasticity that we would like to see for being able to do it while they're wet. Either way, though, if you're matting, you're going to end up damaging the hair, and I'd like to avoid that, but I can't really do much. Yeah, that's right. Poodles do have hair, not fur, like a lot of other dogs. So that's why it gets as long as it does, because it just keeps growing. It does fall out in the same way human hair falls out as well, but it's not exactly the same as shedding. And it's certainly not like seasonal blowouts that you get with a lot of the coated breeds. There we go. Well, enough. I'm gonna switch back to the soft side of my slicker. That's the other thing I like about this Artero Flex slicker is I can just flip it back and forth depending on the needs of the area I'm in, whether I need a softer slicker or something with a little bit of a harder pin. And especially if I'm closer to wet hair, I'm going to want to use a softer pin brush. I could technically be using my ping comb as well, which is traditionally what you're going to use on your along ping comb, what you're going to use on this hair. But because it is matted and it already is a bit damaged, the slicker is going to allow me to get through it probably a little bit easier. But I can also use this. And this actually is a lot better on the wet hair. So I also have a shorter pin brush. I mostly use that for spray ups or takedowns when we're showing. For those who haven't done much poodle grooming, you don't actually grip this very hard. You actually should have a really loose grip to help you prevent from damaging hair. Technically, if somebody's come along and smacked the brush, it should fall out of my hand and not be, and I shouldn't be able to, it shouldn't be staying in my hand. I should have that kind of grip. So if you see me dropping my brush, that is literally the reason, because I've hit something that I was grabbing the brush tighter than I was holding it. So. Oh. She has the whole pillow to use, and she's using the edge of it. You're just ridiculous, little Miss Simpson. You're just a silly girl. She does have eyeballs under here, I promise. There they are. There's her eyeballs. Oh, what you doing? What you doing, Miss Cinder? Ma'am. Ma'am? What are you doing? Want to put your head back in? No? Not particularly? Okay. Give me one quick second here. I'm going to grab a drink. Okay. Back we are. Drink in hand. And once she's mostly dry, we're going to switch over to a slightly harder slicker called, which is my Chris Christensen coral slicker. And that one I find is really good for just getting a lot of the tiny little nits out of all the little tiny knots that most other things are getting really easily before the comb. Yes, water is definitely important. Cinder, have a pillow. You like your pillow? You like your pillow over here? You do pillow over there. Yeah, that's what you want. Is that good? She's a strange creature, this one, but boy, do I love her. And that spray was just a bit of a leave-in conditioner and detangler called Crown Royal. And if you're Canadian, not at all affiliated with the rye that we make here in Canada. So I might end up having to switch sides in a bit here. Hair in my nose. Oh, Cinder. I'm telling you, it's just such a hard life. Such a terrible, terrible life. Hey, baby. So difficult. All this free food and pampering. Sleeping in my bed every night on top of my legs so that I can't move because you're comfortable. All your kids look just amazing. I love it. She's probably thinking, man, I am so happy I'm a cat and I am not a dog because that does not look like fun. Although she probably enjoy the brushing. Maybe less so the bath. Okay. Your new morning routine is extensive brushing because then she starts screaming the song for people. Oh my god, I love that. Shedding enough for 5 of them, I get that. Not so much my cat, but my Australian Shepherd. She definitely believes in shedding to create extra ones of her. She is currently hiding because as soon as the grooming equipment comes out, she wants nothing to do with that scene and will decide to run away upstairs instead. Far away as she can get from all the grooming. Now, the best part about this is once you get all the matting out and get her nice and smooth and all the hair, it feels so cool. It's like the one thing I wish everybody else could experience is just how nice a beautifully freshly groomed poodle feels. Ooh. Yeah, and I bet your cat is. Yeah, I bet she is shedding a lot with that heat wave that you guys are having out there. Swear to God, like, I feel like my area is the only place in the northern hemisphere that isn't boiling to death right now. Whereas not far from me, they had snowfall warnings the other day. They had frost warnings just to the north of me. Thankfully not for me, because I really did not want to have to figure out a way to cover all my plants. That would not have been fun. That's our feeder here, and they're quite as dry as I would normally like to have them. I'm just gonna do this, and she's ended by it. You do that. Can I have this? Thank you. Can I have this? Thank you. Now, the thing that takes the longest to dry on poodles is their ears. They have an incredible amount of hair on their ears, and it feels like their ears just never dry some days. It's so ridiculous how much effort that takes. I can make your pillow away too. I know I don't want to, but I can't have you just hiding behind it. No. Oh, baby. You're gonna live, my sweetheart. You're gonna live. Okay, let's put the play down here. You want this side? She's like, I want no side, I want no part of this. Does that give them more risk of ear infection? Yes. A lack of airflow can increase in the risk for ear infection for floppy eared breed. One of the most important things with poodles is to make sure that we shave the inner ear so that we are allowing it to be able to have more airflow to help reduce the risk of any sort of infections. I mean, you think about it, any dark, dank place, you're going to end up with a good breeding ground for bacteria and yeast. So with poodles, we do shave the inner ear, just the inside of the ear flap and all around the ear canal to try and allow for better airflow. So, sorry, baby. I have to put the fancy pillow down so I can do this. So, anyway, if you want, I'm also live on YouTube as well as TikTok. TikTok is a more narrow view because that one's coming through my cell phone. And YouTube, you've got a wide view because I'm using my my actual fancy video streaming camera. Okay. So behind the ears, definitely one of the bad areas for matting, mostly because that is an area dogs tend to scratch more, which means it's going to be more prone to being matted. There's also more likelihood of the hair to rub in ways that causes matting. So not surprising that this area is a little bit worse than the rest. The full center experience. Honestly, the full center experience would have been when she was younger. She was not good at being groomed. Most standard poodles from a good reputable breeder, they usually start being groomed every week, starting at 5 weeks, 4 to 5 weeks of age, depending on the breeder. So that they're used to the entire process, knowing that they are a breed of dog that has what is referred to as high grooming needs. However, Cinder likes to push the boundaries to see what she can get away with while being groomed, and has always been a bit of a a challenge on that front instead of the good girl I normally expect from most of my poodles. Big. Hey, baby. Hey. Oh. If you're wondering what I'm doing, I'm just giving her an ear rub, and ear rubs are nice. The ear rubs feel very good. They're very much fun. Diva from birth. Yes, definitely a diva from birth. She's always been a little full of herself, very much very outgoing in many, many ways. Unfortunately, sometimes it's just not always in the way that we want. But she's definitely gotten a lot better to groom as she's aged up. She'll be, oh, what's today? The 22nd. She'll be, her birthday is in 2 days, and she will be 2 years old on the 24th. So Ben. Oh, Benny Benny. In case you're wondering, I'm not actually really holding her. I just have my hand for her to rest in. And I'm not actually gripping her to do this. Like she's just like, okay, come here, baby. So if she really, really wanted to resist, as you just saw, she can pull her head away at any point with no fight from me. I'm not gonna make this a fight between wills. So I want her to know that this is just a part of her life. It's the inevitable. Come here, baby. And we're not going to make a big fight out of it. We're not going to make a big fuss out of it. Because I don't want it to continue to make grooming a terrible experience for her. I want it to be a good experience eventually for her. Um, And sad thing is I actually hadn't planned anything and just all of a sudden realized the other day that her birthday was just that close. Then maybe I'll give her I have some extra treats like sardines, some whole sardines in my freezer that I think she'd enjoy as an extra birthday treat for her dinner that day. And maybe me and her will just go on a nice little solo walk just ourselves for her birthday. Also for fun, both her and Fred will be in Rocky Mountain House on Canada Day with me at the 4-H tent. And we're going to be there doing some rally, agility, and socialization and talking about the benefits of purebred dogs, not necessarily poodles, but why a well-bred purebred dog and the difference between well-bred and purebred, because not every purebred is well-bred, but every well-bred dog is probably a purebred. Although I'm not even going to say that it's exclusively. It is. It is not hot here. We actually had a snowfall warning from Banff and south of that area right there, and just north of me were frost warnings last night. So I'm thinking where I am in Alberta, a lot of Alberta, and Eastern BC, southeastern BC, we're all pretty cold. I think our high of today is 16 degrees. And I don't believe I don't know if we've even reached that yet. We may not have. So, and you'll have to excuse me. I saw some messages come through. I'm just going to check those. No. Oh, no. Oh, sorry, guys. I'm just getting some really bad news there. Unfortunately. Oh, jeez. 44 degrees. That is a hard no. I think I'd rather be sitting here wondering if I should be turning on my furnace again, rather than going, how the heck do I cool off in that kind of weather? Because yeah, I think our highest over the next few days is maybe 22 degrees. Yeah. I don't blame you. Definitely keep those windows tightly closed as possible. Open them up for night to try and equalize. You don't have any air conditioner, you. Um, so, yeah, in Belgium it's about 30 something degrees, and yeah, 44 is definitely not great. Yeah. Move to Alberta. Yes, our premier sucks, but it's not that hot. All I can say. I think almost. Yeah, nope, nope, yeah. I mean, I have an air conditioner unit for my house, so if it does get hot, I mean, it's not the worst. But the AC conditioner is just for the upstairs, and I only turn it on for when I'm sleeping. I don't generally leave it on, even in heat waves, if I can help it, just because it is such an energy suck. And generally, my house is pretty cool, even in the summertime, thankfully. Oh. I bet you Ontario is all sold out of air conditioning units. You probably can't find one anywhere right now. Yes, yes, and the company is great out here. Yes, our premier is horrible, but you know, I'm here. So are my dogs. It's good. Well, we can say. Yeah, and everybody wants a minus 40. Loves it. You know what? There is a lot of great things about Alberta. The political landscape, in my opinion, is not one of them, but it is honestly a really beautiful place to live. A lot of people here are not that bad, minus that 10%. And if you at all follow politics, you know who the 10% is. And yeah, other than that, I mean, it's pretty good. That is minus 40 in the winter. Well, those are probably the negatives, but I don't mind minus 40. I actually kind of like cold weather, so it's good for me. Yeah, you and Dax come out. Maybe Dax can get my little crazy head here to know how not to be crazy. I doubt that would happen. Maybe he'd exhaust her enough. I think I'm going to be switching sides with her in a second. You want some more pillow? You want this? You want this? You can have this. All right. Oh, see, yeah. That's what I think the funny thing about poodles is my girls really, I sometimes have a hard time getting them inside at minus 30. Once it's not in hits minus 40, it's not so bad. But poodles, don't mind me. Hopefully you all can still hear me okay. But poodles tend to be weirdly enough, cold weather dogs. So, ah, gonna- perfect. And the weirdest thing about poodles that when it comes to winter weather is, and this is not just me, other poodle people have discovered this. When we have them in that silly continental trim, they tend to be warmer than when we have them in all over hair. Like, I don't know why that is. And I'd love it if somebody could figure out why, when we have them with those shade parts and really long hair on other parts, that would be that they'd be warmer. But go figure. Do I only have poodles? I do not only have poodles. I have mostly poodles. I also have one rescue who's an Australian Shepherd. And you probably won't see her while I'm grooming because as soon as I put on my grooming smock, she runs away and hides. She thinks grooming is probably one of the scariest things in this world. And would like to avoid it as much as possible. Sorry, guys. I'm just trying to see both of my streams and the chats that are going on in them. Standard definitely very different from the toy poodle. They're, I would say, a lot more chill than toy poodles. I've spent some time around quite a few toys, and yeah, they're not the high energy dogs people seem to think they are. Some of them are. Some of them can definitely be more high energy than others, depending on the line you come from. This Cinder tends to be more high energy, but she knows how to bring it down and relax with the rest of my dogs. But she definitely needs a lot more stimulation in her life than my other poodles do. And not just because she's younger. Are we? Funny story. When I took this girl in to get her vaccinated for her last set of vaccines there, and they had just had a poodle the other day that was not from an ethical breeder. And they didn't mean to say anything about this as they were giving a Cinder her little exam and giving her vaccine. And she's like, gosh, this is so nice. You can really tell when they're well bred. And I'm just like, oh, did you put the poodle? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, not well bred. They're like, yeah, you can really tell in the personality. They aren't as easygoing. They're not as easy to handle. They tend to have a lot more issues with anxiety and stuff like that. And not that well bred, ethically bred poodles don't. It's just they tend to be exposed to a lot more because we want dogs to have the kind of exposure that you need a show dog to have in the long run. And they just love it because my vet clinic, I'm not the only show poodle person who takes their dogs there. Yeah. Allergies are definitely a thing. We try really hard to breed away from allergies in our program, for sure. And yes, the fun of grooming poodles into whatever you want to make them is just the best thing ever. Oh god, I left all my sprays on the other side of the table. Of course I left my sprays on the other side of the table. It would have been smart if I had brought all my sprays here. Well, yeah, the poodles, the many different kinds of cinder. Oh, oh, Yeah, the poodle trend where you mix a poodle with everything. And I have this, I need this side, sweetheart. Sweetheart, I'm doing this side and you blink. um, and I keep saying there's a reason why they mix everything with a poodle, and it's not just because of the hair. You talk to a lot of people about what they like about their doodle, and honestly, it's all the traits of either one of the breeds that makes it up or the other. And a lot of people just can't get past what poodles look like when you show them, which frankly, because they're such a breed that you can groom to look like anything and you put them in any trim you want, nobody says your poodle has to look like a poodle. Your poodle can look any way you want it to look. And that is probably one of my favorite things about doing advocacy when I go to events and stuff and talk about the breed and talk about why a purebred is simply for that reason. So people start to realize that it's not about the hair. It's not about anything you think you know about any of the breeds. It's what actually matters, which is a consistent and guaranteed health and temperament and lineage and support from a breeder. You know, you buy a dog from Joe Blow down the road, and they're not going to want to know every detail of your dog's life. They're not going to be there when you have the midnight crisis, health crisis, or something bad happens to your dog. They're not going to be, hey, if anything happens, you can't take care of this dog, bring it back and we'll take care of it. We'll make sure that this dog goes to the right kind of home and, it's not left in a shelter somewhere. And I think that's probably one of my biggest things is that there'd be so fewer dogs in shelters if people actually understood what ethical breeding was all about. And it's about being there not just for the dog and for, selling a dog. That's not what it's about. I've literally given dogs to the perfect home because, well, that was the perfect home for them. They may not have otherwise been able to afford a well-bred purebred dog, and not a lot of breeders do stuff like that because breeding is an expensive thing if you do it right. It's a very expensive. Yes, and Fred is 100% purebred mop at this point. If you guys have seen any videos of her, she's a quartered standard poodle. She's my baby that likes to do everything. Both Fred and Cinder will be going to Rocky Mountain House with me on Canada Day. So for those in the central Alberta area. We'll also be talking about dog sports like rally and agility and why doing dog sports, if you're capable of it with your dog, is not only a great bonding thing, but it's also a great outlet for energy for your dog. And really, any sport that you do with your dog is incredible for strengthening the bond between you and your dog and having yourself the dog that you want. I don't really, I'd say for the most part, I don't really train my dogs. I have expectations of them around the house. And sometimes they don't quite meet those expectations the way I would like. And sometimes they do. But there's a reason why people come to my house. And while I may be chaos with all 5 dogs for a few minutes, it doesn't take long before that chaos becomes quiet. Because my dogs will all find their spots and relax and lay down. Because that is the expectation I have placed upon them. And that is one thing they consistently do. And generation after generation start showing that to the other generations that, when everybody sits down and it's calm, we sit down and are calm. And that's what happens. So we're almost through the bulk here of trying to get Cinder dry. Unfortunately, there's still going to be a bit more dematting to go. I really did leave it too long between grooms, and that is entirely on me. But I also knew I'd be taking a lot of hair off. So as we are going into that severe continental, also known as the modified and sometimes known as the historically correct continental, which is not that big hair that you see, but a slightly more scissored and teared down version of that fancy poodle cut. Which, for if people who want a poodle and want to have it in the poodle cut, you could put it in a scissored continental and have it in that poodly cut without all the big giant hair that's so hard to maintain. But personally, like with my retired dogs, depending on their hair type and personality, I switched up trims a lot. Everything from, a scissored continental as a pet trim to my favorite to put treble, my old girl in, which is called the pony trim. But at her age, and being an old spayed female, her texture of her hair has changed. And same as with humans, as we age, our hair texture and thickness and everything changes. Poodles are no exception, and since hormones change with being spayed, it also continues to change her hair quality. So she has a lot lumpier hair now than she ever used to be. It doesn't hold its shape the way it used to. So she may end up starting to go into just a very basic shaved down trim instead of something super cute like I have her in now. I may still do some fun stuff with it, but honestly, at almost 11 years old, she's now at a point where I don't want to keep her on the grooming table too long. And I want to be able to get her done and quick and out. So I'm not doing anything too fancy with her at this age. Oh, I left my drink. I left my spray. Left everything on the other side of the table. I don't know if I'm going to go get up and go get it. I need an assistant. Who wants to move up to Alberta and be an unpaid assistant when I groom? Especially when I'm grooming live. Because when I'm not grooming live, I don't feel as pressure to just, move along and get the dog done. I sometimes take a little bit more time and, and just not worry about angles of the cameras and stuff like that and whether or not you see enough. See, I have two setups here. My other setup, I'm trying to move it right now so I can see the chat better. That's calm. Okay, give me a second. Because, of course, TikTok always takes this point where it's like, we have no audio. It's like, no, there's audio. What are we talking about? And then it makes me move this little stupid puzzle piece over and try and line it up. And it's stupid. I really, really hate that thing. Because I'm obviously talking. There are people obviously watching. Why they would want to automatically shut my live off because they don't think there's sound for some reason, I don't know. I don't get it personally. Ridiculous system. Social media going social media. Yeah, that's about right. Ugh. Hmm. Okay. I'm closer to the point where I can shut off the dang dryer for the most part. Still to get her ears done, which a lot of the ear hair is coming off, and then it's just a matter of making sure we finish dematting her. So and then we can start the fun process of cutting her into pattern and starting to scissor her down into the proper shape. So I'm not expecting to get the pattern perfect today. She's not going to be showing until next year. So I have all the rest of the summer and winter into spring to be able to play with the design and get it to where I want exactly. But today we're putting in those broad strokes and getting it as close as we can to what we do want in the long run. The girls is the easiest to groom. That's a really good question. Treble is not too bad. She's mostly just passive resistance when we do things she doesn't want us to do. Mostly like doing her nails or trimming her paws. Very passive resistance. So she just kind of slowly turns her entire body away from me and hopes that, if she can't see it, it's not happening. And then Fred is not really hard to groom. She has some of the same passive resistance that Treble has without the drama of pretending I'm about to murder her. But she's much like her mom in many ways for being groomed in that she could be better. She really could be better. But that's okay. Look in your ear. Ugh. I swear, little brains are made of nothing but loose hair. And it just comes pouring out of their ears like that. Why they're so smart, they wear their brains all over. Cinder would definitely not be the easiest to groom. Frank doesn't like it. She would rather run away, but when she's on the table, she just behaves herself. The moment she can get off that table, she is gone though. So she's definitely a dog I strap into play. And that's what this thing is for. It is actually an arm, grooming arm to help keep a dog used in place for their safety. But yeah, they all have their issues. But now, like at least doing the grooming, Fred is got the easiest trim to maintain because it's just getting her wet and letting her air dry. There's not a lot. There's no brushing really. Still a bit of dampness on this ear, but I can always pull the dryer out a little bit more later and work on it a bit more. It's just going to go back to the other side now. We move where my water is, and we'll take a look and see how that other ear is for finishing it off. Great. And my water's over here, so now I can have something to drink because I'm thirsty AF. And since she's going to be laying on her side like this, I might as well give her tail a good brush out. We're not doing much with her tail other than scissoring off the tip today. And shaving the face, which is part of the continental trim. And water. Time to hydrate, right? Woo! In case you're wondering, yes, the dryers I use are the kind that produce heat. So, if I'm running through a word warmer, this would be a task I'd really not want to be doing right now. You can use dryers. You can dry without the heat. But obviously, if you live in a colder climate, you're going to want to use a heat-based dryer. And it also allows you to get the hair straighter, which does make it easier to set and trim. Can I have this? Excuse me, ma'am. Excuse me, ma'am. I'm going to scratch your belly here. Thank you. And I'm going to distract you with belly scratches while I brush your other leg. Because the one thing Cinder likes is her belly scratches. hydrate or dihydrate. I heard the phrase hydrate or die straight is one I've heard before. Not that it makes any difference for me since, I just don't even date. Um, although I do find that a funny saying. And Cinder's just laying over here like, my life sucks. Why is this happening to me? I don't want to be a grooming dog. And I'm sorry, Cinder. Until we get those last 2 points on you, this is your life. But you'll still need this done when you're in pet trim too, unless I decide to do what I've done for Fred and put you in cords. But since you are a dog that likes to scratch, cords may not be ideal for you because that tends to cause cords to fray. So your ear on this side is still a bit damp. Of course, it's a bit damp. As I said, ears take forever. Woe is me, I shall never know peace around again. Oh, yeah, that's about right for Cinder. But yeah, I mean, to be honest, people are like, oh, poodles are too much grooming, poodles are too much grooming. I mean, if you can afford to take them to a groomer and set them up to go every 4 weeks, you're laughing because then you're not going to be a dog that's just getting shaved down all the time. Although if you are shaving your dog down every 6 weeks, it's sufficient. If you want a fancier trim, though, every 4 weeks, not too big. And if you can afford it, it's not a big deal. If you can't afford it, you can always learn how to groom. I am not by any means a professional groomer. Over the last 12 years, I've just been learning with my own dogs. I have friends who are professional groomers who have taken the time and the effort and I appreciate how much they've taken the time to try and teach me to be a groomer, so that I can do a good job on my own dogs. Oh, hi, baby. Oh, Mike, you just come here for a second? Okay, just over here. A little bit more, please. Thank you. As you can tell, my dogs are very used to me manipulating them on the table. So, I wonder. Oh, I did not know I was capable of doing that. Cool. Oh, that is not what I wanted to do. Whoops. Not me going, oh, I should maybe try and share this and see if anybody wants to join me. You never know. So, gonna take 5 minutes for a second here. Ah, I cannot type some days, not from this angle, anyways. Poodle. There we go. Just realized I could post this to Tumblr. Maybe somebody wants to join from there. Lord only knows. If you are looking for me on YouTube from TikTok, it is Positively Chaotic, PAWSI. Apparently, I can't post to Tumblr. I tried. Oh well. I fail. She's looking. Yeah, she really likes it when I leave her on her side like this. This tends to be her favorite position for me to do her in, is just on her side like this. Preferably not near her face if she can help it. Um, She really, this way she gets her scritches in. She's like, no, Ma, I don't wanna be brushed. I'll tell you though, my house was 2 degrees colder when I started this process, and it's definitely warmed up, and it's not because it's warm outside today. It is very cold where I am, so using this dryer has actually warmed my living room up by 2 degrees according to the thermostat. So okay. Oh, you have no idea how that loud that is when it's right by your head. She looks really peaceful right now. God, I don't want to have to move her to continue to groom her, but I kind of have to. Hi, baby. Hi, sweetheart. Hi, my girl. Oh, she's like, more? I don't want to do more. Can we just get belly rubs and I do the kick? I do the little leg kick when you scratch me just right. There we go. Yeah. Little leg kicks. Little leg kicks. No brush, only scratches. Yeah. Oh, who likes the scratches? Not you. Could possibly be you. Oh, pooh. Oh, she is such a sweetheart, this one. And she's looking very, very fluffy now. Very fluffy. All right. How are we doing? We're an hour and 15 minutes into this. And Cinder is finally dry. Finally dry. But not fully dematted. So this is my Chris Christensen coral. It's a very long toothed brush. Very large brush. Very good for dematting as well. And generally, you wouldn't be normally using this on a show coat, but because we're trying to get her back to fresh and trimming her down, we're going to be using it this time. So since she seems comfortable where she is, it looks like I'm going to the other side again. So we'll grab my drink, grab my chair, and around we go again. Hi, Cynthia. Hello, little Cinder. Okay. We're going to leave the scan bar where it is for now, because we may need it again. We'll find out. You wouldn't really use it on a show coat because it is a fairly hard brush, and it will pull at the coat, causing some damage. But because of the amount of matting I've allowed to happen, the damage is already done. So we are just gonna be using this to get the matting out. We've taken as much out as we can using gentler methods. So, but it is a fairly hard brush. So it is more likely to pull on that hair in ways that we don't necessarily want for a show coat. But because it is very good at getting the matting out, even the little ones that are in there that I haven't managed to get out previously. So now I don't know how well she shows pretty well on both cameras. You see how I'm getting a nice clean line? Like you can just see that beautifully right there. That's a great way to be able to see how much, how matted the coat is. Because if you're not seeing all the way down to the skin in an area, then there's some mats in that area, and that's just the way it is. So and it's also because of the longer tooth, it does go through a lot more layers of hair in a single go, which is kind of nice. There are those who do like to use it on show coat. I just don't normally recommend it unless you're doing what I am, which is fresh starting over. So, you know, if they do get split ends like human hair, that's a really good question. But if they do, it would be hard to tell. Their hair is a lot finer than ours. So I think if they did, it would be almost impossible to know. It's just because of how fine their hair is. Right. As you can see, I'm just going down the line. I'm pulling some hair over to one side. And this is definitely a way of doing some line brushing here. So this is up behind her ear, which I'm expecting, a little bit more resistance up behind her ear as well, because that's where we had a lot of more matting. Good. That they tend to be a lot more rubbing, a lot more scratching on the hair, which causes more matting. So that's why you tend to, with dogs, tend to see a lot more matting in areas like armpits and elbows and stuff, because those are areas that rub. And that rubbing will be more likely to mat the hair. You guys can even hear the background music. Put some background music on for when I'm not so noisy. There we go. Okay, looks like it's coming through now. It's not just dead air when I'm not talking. So I can always tell. I just have to listen to how the brush goes through the hair, and I wish you guys could hear it to tell whether or not there's any sort of matting in that hair that I'm brushing through. Because the sound, you can hear the sound when it hits matting. Sorry, baby. So that one I pulled was a little bit too hard, and she let me know. She just lifted her head there and told me that, Mom, I felt that. I didn't like it. Just go a little bit gentler there. Because I don't want to do things that she's like, this doesn't feel comfy for me. I want it to be as enjoyable an experience as possible because it is a necessary one in her life. Almost, almost a bit hesitant to want to fully shave her all the way down and maybe just do her in a template just because if I'm taking her somewhere on Canada Day, I'm going to want her freshly shaven for that. And that's just a week away. Actually, probably, what, 22nd? Hey, just over a week away? Yeah, Canada Day isn't that far away. So, yeah. And if anybody wonders how often this should be done, with a show dog, about once a week. This process should be done at least once a week with a doggy show coat. Does she look like she's on cloud nine right now, Mason? Or is she just being tolerant? I mean, ideally, I would like my dogs to, at the very least, just not actively hate it. She does, however, actively hate the bath. And I do have to actually pick her up in the living room and carry her all the way to the bathroom every time. She doesn't start struggling until she realizes that we're going to the bath. And that's about halfway through the kitchen that she comes to that realization that that is the reason I'm carrying her. Yeah, yeah, that's pretty much it. How dare I inflict the water betrayal on her? I mean, she's much happier now though. Now that there's no blow dryer involved, she really is not a big fan of the blow dryer. So I think it's really funny that even when I'm touching her here, like I can feel that there's still little mats in here just by petting her. And I think that's kind of really weird and cool. Just because of how silky their hair is. Like you can really feel when there are lumps where they shouldn't be once you blow dried it out straight. Like you know. Even where the hair, I feel just right here, there's a little piece, so it's not doing what it should. And there's a little tangle in there. There we go. There we go. I'm gonna feel that. And that feels smooth. No lumps or bumps or bellies or you all know the saying. Kind of the way Sitter's brain often works. No thoughts. Only vibes. Makes this a little bit harder just because of how she's laid. So trying to get like other parts of her means I'm either gonna have to flip her over or just do the best I can with the position she's in because she does seem fairly comfortable. I'm definitely gonna have to get behind the other ear as well. The poodle was mine of it. Yeah, she kind of is some days. Hey, baby. Hmm. Nice quiet groom day. Honestly, with it not being so hot here, definitely it's kind of nice day to be grooming. Although Fred disagrees since she has to sit there air drying. She would have preferred a much hotter day to air dry on, I think. I know you're comfortable, my love. I know. Oh, fourth thing, I can't do on you. Come here. Can you sit up? Can you lay up? Can you tuck these legs under you? Oh, yeah, like that. Like that. No, not. Well, okay, that'll do, I guess. Oh, it's a good arm workout, this brushing. A bit from like Rapunzel, the like newer one. What is it? Tangled. Where and I brush and brush and brush my hair, and that's kind of how I feel like with this. I brush and I brush and I brush your hair. Brushing hair. Too bad this hair doesn't have magical healing properties. That would be kind of nice, though. If you're wondering, yes, she is like a little bit off of the table and like almost into my lap over here. I'm trying singing the song yet, but last I checked, her hair doesn't usually light up. If it had magical properties, that would be great, but she's not. Well, she does. And unfortunately, because all of her hair has been cut at some point or another, or at least chewed off by somebody eating her ears, young lady. So it may not be magical anymore. Oh, what am I not? Oh, shake. Apparently, I'm not allowed to snuggle her today. That was not allowed. That was bad, Mama. All right, we're getting closer to the point where I actually get to start putting a trim on her, which is kind of nice. But there's definitely a bit more brushing to do. Sweetheart, you're too close to me. I need you further onto the table. No, it's okay. You can just lay there, Cinder, on top of my arms. It's fine. Did I do that? Yeah, there's definitely some more matting in here that's we're not ready to start going for the brush, because if the brush isn't, or if the comb isn't going through her, then we need to keep brushing. We're almost there, baby, I promise. She is very floof now. And yet, not floof enough. Lordy. This is kind of the longest part of the process, I would say. It's just making sure she's beautifully and perfectly brushed out so that when I go to put her in a trim, it turns out good. The coolest things about having a fading type poodle is when you're brushing them out, you can kind of see the color of their hair changing in bands along their body. And it's kind of cool. Yeah, I have a friend Becky used to what do you mean changing? I mean, the shade of silver is a little different. You can kind of see the bands if you're looking very, very closely for it. I'm not too sure it's something that would even show up on camera, but yeah, you can kind of see just kind of different shades of silver throughout her hair. And there's sometimes if you're brushing just the right way, it kind of looks like it's growing bands on the hair. And so like pulling this hair here, like there's like this very light strand right here. And then it gets darker between here and here. And then there's a little bit of a light span right here. and then it's darker again, and then that darker gets lighter at about this point over here. And yeah, it's kind of like you can just see these slight stripes of variation within the hair color. And it's all the same color, it's just different darkness and lightness on it. And I know I have a friend who breeds silver minis that they say one thing they've noticed is that tends to correlate with their heat cycles and that the hormones cause a bit of a color change, which would not be unsurprising. Not really multicolored, just more multi-shaded, but still all silvers, dark, light. Honestly, we thought she was going to be a much lighter silver when she was older, when she got older. Now she's 2, so turns out she's actually going to be a fairly darker silver than we expected. So that's, I think, one of the coolest things. Is that Cinder Baby? Yes, it is a Cinder Baby. Hi, Kelsey. It is a Cinder Baby. I'm putting her in a modified Continental as soon as I can be sure she's fluffy enough. Because Cinder Baby likes to rub and scratch and basically just tear her hair apart. So trying to put her into a great big hair like we had wanted is just not going to work, unfortunately. You know what, Kelsey? She is. She used to be an absolute nightmare to groom, and she'll be 2 in a couple days, and she's really improved a lot in the last couple of months. Really, like I know probably one of the quietest, gentlest, force-free groom trainers who literally actually had to use hard techniques with this dog because she just was that bad on the table. And it's not something I see her do a lot unless the dog really, really needs that firm hand. So we've definitely earned our good baby privileges now. Um, taken her a long time to mature enough to get to this point. Way too long to mature to this point. But I think we're almost there that we can start actually doing the big groom process. No, Mwah, give me kisses anyway, Stinson. Oh, she's such a good girl in so many ways. Um, she's just always a good girl the way I want her to be a good girl. All right. Really? Big? All right. So I think we might be at a point where we can start putting her into pattern. I did leave this here, but it doesn't look like I'm gonna need it. But now we're gonna move Elle's over here. Hi, Fred. And Cinder's gonna have a quick break for me. You can stare at her for a second. And I'm going to do something quickly behind the camera. In case you were wondering what I was doing behind the camera, that was Fred who got a bath and her top knot needed a quick dry and brush. So, and I didn't feel like trying to turn the cameras around for that. All right, Titty, are you ready for this? Hi, you ready? Can you stand up? Do you want to stand up? Because I kind of need you to. All right. Please, Sin. Hi. Oh, that wasn't supposed to be a belly scratch, but I guess you're getting belly scratches now. Okay. Up, up. Really? You're gonna make me pick you up. Come on, Cinder. Come on. Oh, there we go. Oh, look at that. You can't stand all on your own. Matt, there's gonna give more of her quick fluff up where she was laying. Look, Matt. She's not happy with us. Cinder. Cinder. Hi. And we're just gonna quickly do the front of her here because that wasn't done before. Okay. So she's going to be going into a modified trim. She is a beautifully structured dog. And let's tilt that up a bit so we can see more dog for my other camera. No, you can't sit. That's not what we're doing. No. No, baby. That's not what we're doing right now. No. Gentle baby. Sweetie. All right. Go. Time to bring out the clipper buttons. Yeah. You can work your now. It can hurt you to stand a little. So when I'm putting in the initial lines for my trim, there's a few things. So we're looking at where the tail naturally sits on their body for where those rosettes go in the back. Ma'am, I need. Well, so much for the good baby. And how? Until you have a little tiny map right at the base of it. What in the world is that about, Cindy? My little cinder bender. Okay. So we do the standing dance thing again. So when I'm doing, and I'm just gonna turn her more to the side here. So when I'm doing, trying to figure out what my lines are gonna look like for when I put them into pattern, is I'm gonna put them more or less into a stacked position, which is their natural stance. Which Center is being very rude about right now. Baby, come on. we're gonna put them into a stack, and then we're gonna see where everything sits on her naturally first. And that's gonna give me a good idea of where my lines are gonna sit. Because we want space between the tail and the rosette, which are the little bubbles right above her hip bones. And then space between the rosette and here. We also know that we can draw a line from about her pin bone, which is right on her butt here, which are the little bones that stick out, and draw that line across to here, which would be the lowest point of her rosette. So we know we can shave about from the base of the tail. You usually do one width of the clippers, and then from the pin bones, that is our low point of our rosette. We're going to go from there. So we're also going to do the tail band, which normally what I'll do is I'll hold it down, and I want it to be about the band to be where their pin bone is when I hold their tail down. So, and that's going to be that line. So here we go. So I usually start at the back, work my way towards the front, because that's where things start to get a little bit more persnickety in terms of where my lines are on my trim. So I'm just going to do all the way around her tail with a tail band. So if you're ever setting a trim yourself, or if you're curious about how we decide where things go when you're doing a continental trim on a poodle, those are the guidelines I generally use based on the dog's body itself. Where you set the jacket line is a little bit more difficult, and we'll get to that when we get to that. But generally, that's based on where their rib cage is. Nope, pins in. And that's usually based on where their rib cage is and where that end rib is what we're going to be looking at there. So sorry, she just had a weird little mat in the back of her tail that I missed. I'm just going to get that out. It's like she has this little piece that's just a bit longer than the rest of her tail at the base. And of course, it's right above the shave line. So there we go. So now I have a nice little tail band. And I'm going to make sure that's fairly even all around. Okay. So once again, I want to make sure she's in a stacked position, which means we want those legs a little bit further apart. Okay. So I'm going to set that. I want to see where that tail goes naturally for a set. And then that's how I'm going to decide how this line is going to look. So I'm going to connect that with my tail line. I'm going to shave back towards it. And now, and I'm going to start with that as my line. I'm going to reassess that in a minute. And I'm going to come down. I'm just going to scoop it as soon as we get to the leg. We're going to scoop it around. There we go. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. And as we come down the leg, we know that we're going to be doing another line right across the pin, from the pin bone across, but we'll do that in a second. For now, we're just figuring out where we can take hair off and not have to think twice about it. So, and I am been getting a lot of messages. So, give me a minute here. I'm just going to take a look. Yeah, she's very good. She can lounge like the princess she believes that she is. Give me a hot minute. I've been getting a few messages while I've been on live, and there has been things going on, so I just want to make sure it's nothing I have to be overly concerned about at this moment. Okay, so that one's a no. And just checking on a few things here. Okay. Nothing too critical from the looks of things. Sorry about that. There's just always something going on, right? All right, so back we go to getting this done. And I have hair in my eyes. Oh, all right. Have I really been on for 2 hours? All right, let's get this dog trained up, hey? Come on. Okay. So the next line we want to set is for where the bracelet on the back of the leg is. Generally, you're feeling for where that their hock ends, and you're going 2 fingers above that. 3 fingers if you have really tiny ones. I usually do three fingers to start, and you can see that my fingers are going on an angle from the bone down to where the crook is. So, and that's the angle you want to follow naturally, which is why you want them standing fairly close to how you would normally have them stacked, because you don't want to, otherwise you may mess up the angle, right? Alrighty. So then, there we go. And once we have that line set, it's not too hard to follow it around up the back of the leg and take a good chunk of this hair off. Yeah, so there's that. I want to make sure I'm not drifting off my line too much. I am drifting off a little bit, so I'm just going to fix that up. Okay. And there we go. And up we go back to the leg. I'm just going to periodically check on my blade, make sure that it is not getting warm. But that can happen. So when I'm doing around her butt, I'm just going to put my finger over it, because you can nick that area, and that's not a lot of fun for them. And I don't want to do that to her. So, and they do tend to flex this area a lot while you're shaving around it. So if you don't want to hurt them, that's definitely one thing I tend to do. Oh, baby, you're fine. And then I'm going to do the stop. I'm going to do the 3 fingers on the inside of her leg as well, because we want to make sure that we get that right too. Okay. And we're just going to go up and around. And unless you really know the dog, I don't recommend sticking your head underneath them. But it works for me because I chose my dog and I know how she'll react to the things I'm doing. If you don't know how a dog's going to react to what you're doing, don't do it. Just be cautious. Okay. Now I'm going to do the same thing for her other leg. I'm going to find that. I'm going to wrap my fingers around and in and out. Away we go. Okay. So my blades are a little bit old and they get warmer faster than I would like. Really, ma'am? You think just because I stopped for 5 seconds, you get to sit down? I would probably flex if somebody was shaving in that area too. Yeah. All right. So we're just gonna switch up our blades here. We've got brand new blade on. I'm gonna rub up the hair that's got into my eyes. Hopefully. Alrighty, come on. Thank you. Good. Stop. Cinder. I know, baby. I'm almost done with this part. All right. So we're getting there a little bit again. Ma'am. So I'm also gonna get over here. None of this is gonna be needed back here. But a great way to see underneath. What's going on here? Okay, you can have it near your body. That's fine. So it's better for your balance. You can do that. Okay. And I'm just gonna quickly do the same on the other side. Okay. And then I'm just doing on this side what I did on the other side with lifting the leg up and shaving underneath. All right. All right. So now that we've got the back legs more or less shaped up, and we've talked about how we want that line from these pin bones here, straight across to where we're likely putting her thing, which will be here. We're not going to go quite that far, but we're going to draw this invisible line right across like this. Stop. You're fine. Not warm, baby. Hey, hey, hey. Then stop. Thank you. And so we know all of this hollow is going, everything here behind the rib cage, this is all gonna go. So it's just then afterwards deciding where I'm putting the line for her jacket line, which is the front part. But so I'm just gonna round this off back here. I may take more off, we're gonna see. And well, I don't need to do that at this point. I'm actually just gonna add some shape test to see if that is what I'm looking at in terms of the correct area. And I'm pretty sure this is what I'm looking at for where I want that to be set. So I'm just going to go over the other side. I'm going to do that side as well. And I'm going to do that down that straight across shape. Same thing here. I'm just gonna carve it in as if I were starting to do the rosettes, just so I can see what the shape looks like, and I can determine if I need to move this or not. Okay, now she's not actually standing very straight right now, which is a problem. It is kind of a problem because the next part I'm going to do is we're going to go create the line between the two rosettes in the back, which has to follow her spine. So if she's standing crooked, it kind of ruins everything, right? So I am going to grab my comb here. I'm just gonna find that space where I want that. Okay. And there's a bit of matting back here that I apparently missed, so it shouldn't be too bad because this wasn't very long hair back here. Okay. So I think I'm seeing where I want that to be. And I'm just going to go in. I'm going to carve that in with my clippers. And let's go. So there's that. And then I'm going to round out the back of it. Because the thing with the rosettes is they are round. And that is what they are going to be when I'm done. And they should be perfect little circles. Sorry, baby. Okay. Mama, sorry. Keep your feet in the air, please. That's all I'm asking of you. So I'm just going to go. I'm going to actually do this. And then, because my comb is catching on it. So, perfect. Then I should be able to go back in with my comb and just poof these up. So I can see what I'm looking at, right? So, now, although this is not generally a step you do until the end, I want to see my shape as I'm doing it. And a lot of people don't mind so much until, don't worry about so much about shaping until they're done. Unfortunately, my brain does not work like that. So what I am going to do is I am going to see how this is looking. So I'm thinking these are going to have to go much further up. And they're a bit oblong as it is. And I think where her tail sits, yeah, is I want this a little bit more there. And see where that looks like from there. But most people don't really worry about the shaping and rounding of things until they're closer to the end and they know what they're doing. And they know what the rest of the trim look is going to look like. But I find for me that if I don't, so where this tail sits, I really want to make sure these rosettes are behind it. And to me, this isn't quite cutting it. So I do want to go further forward from where they are currently. She is a very small dog. So she is not going to be very big rosette. Okay, so this is looking like it's going to be closer to what I need when I'm ready to put in her jacket. So I'm going to do the same thing on this side. I'm going to make sure that we are where I want, and I feel like I did not put the line high enough on this side, so we're gonna fix that as well while we're at it. And then we're also gonna shape this a bit more this way. And that way I just know better what I'm looking at. Good. Most people don't bother with all of this until they're closer near the end. But for me, if I can do it now, I feel like I'm just gonna struggle with it later. And everybody's brain works a little bit different in how they see and interpret things. So okay. So it's gonna pitch out my clippers again. Clipper blades. I want to make sure they're staying nice and cool. My biggest one of my other big problems when I'm setting lines is I never set the front bracelet high enough. I always want to take them too low. And so that's probably going to be something I'll end up doing again. Knowing me. So what I want is a clear line. So this also, you can use the bend here as your guideline. So here's the bend, her wrist, if you want to, or past her. And I'm going to take my hand, grab just above that. And I'm going to do about 3 fingers again. It's probably going to be too low. So maybe I'll do 4 just to be safe. There's that joint. And then I'm going to go in. And I'm going to set my line here. Now, the other part of the line is the bottom of her jacket. And I'm going to want to take this because she is a small dog. Well, she is very well structured. I want to make sure that the lowest point of her jacket is going to be in between her legs here. And this is the jacket, by the way. So I'm going to make sure that when I shave her legs, I'm going to take this above her elbows here. Okay? Because here's where her chest is. So I want to make sure that line that's here does not drop below the jacket. So I want to make sure that this stop is, you're fine. Are you okay? You're okay. You're fine, baby. Is the lowest point, which would be easier if she put her dang head up for me. Unfortunately, you can't have everything. I'm just going to unplug that for a second. Then, yeah, and stop. Okay, and then I'm going to do this other side. I'm going to do the same thing. Now I'm going to take that full hand, and I'm going to go up from there. Like that. And now if you see me doing this, lifting her up like this, because I wanted to put full weight on both these front legs equally so that I can make sure that when I go in, that when I'm looking at them, they are the same height. And that is definitely an important part of the trim. Oh, baby. So I'm also going to make sure all this in here in her armpit, that's all going to go. Stop. Because we don't need this hanging down either. So slowly but surely, we have something resembling a show dog coming together here. And as I said, we do want this. Now, she does think her hairs under here are very special hairs and should not be trimmed or shaved. But unfortunately, that is not the case. It's also a high matting area, so we do want to make sure those armpits are very clean of hair. Because you don't need that hair in her armpit to mat up on her. It's entirely unnecessary for the trim. And some people will leave it in there. If you have a dog that's going to be that is big that mats a lot, I really recommend that you do not, and that you actually go a little bit higher on the inside so that you're not dealing with that issue. And I'm just going to stand her again because I don't feel like I got the line right on this side. And nope, I definitely did not. So we're just going to bring this up a bit more above her elbow. It's where I want it. Want that line to be. So that she doesn't look like she is wearing sleeves when, hey, stop. Stop. Those hairs are not that pressure thinner. Trust me on this. I'm just going to curve in a bit of shape to that. I don't know what she's reacting to because I'm barely even touching her, let alone touching the hair with the clipper. She is a bit of a silly dilly about her undercarriage. So I'm just going to look. And I just want that head up because I know. Put it down. I know those aren't anywhere. Stop. Stop. Aren't anywhere near even. So there's that. Yeah. So, once again, yeah. So her little bracelets, as you can see, they're very not even. Her back ones probably aren't either because she's a bit of a silly dilly sometimes. So, let's see. So, a little bit closer. Not quite there, but closer. All right. And same with the back. I do feel like okay. So that's a bit better. All right. So there's a few other things that need to be shaved or determined, and one of them is going to be the line of her jacket, which since she's had a jacket before, shouldn't be too hard to figure out because she was in a full trim before we decided to do mohawk her and let her mature, and then realized that between me having trouble trying to keep up with the hair care and Cinder just being Cinder, it was not working to try and grow her out for a full trim. So, all right. So I'm just gonna clear up my table a bit here. And see my table and my equipment if it's on the table. All right. All right. So once again, we're gonna want to get her back into something resembling proper trim. Like I said, the lowest part of your jacket should be at the elbow. That's where the absolute lowest part of the jacket should be when you're putting them into a continental trim. So, I'm just going to figure out. So here's where that swoop. Okay, so is that about right? Maybe. She's not stacked properly, which isn't helping me at all. And she doesn't really feel like stacking properly. So let's see what we're looking at here. Okay, and results are going to be good. So then there's the couch. So a lot of this is going to be coming off. And I'm just doing that right now via clippers. Not the way you normally do this. It's want to see a little bit more of the shape I'm looking at here. And all this hair is not going to be needed for a modified. So it's figuring out right about here. I think that's about right. I think for her, where we want that to be is apparently right where there is a mismatch. So don't mind me, I'm just So this is the part where if you have a really well-behaved dog, it's not too hard to do. But if you have a cinder, it gets a little bit more challenging. And I want to create, just combing out a line here, trying to see where I'm going to shave to. I feel like tell if that line is straight because that line is so crooked it's not funny. That is not a good lie. Because somebody doesn't like to hold themselves straight. So, So one of the things that I'm struggling with, if she has a lot of extra hair, that's going to be coming off for a continental. And we need to figure that part out too. It's a challenge. Yes, you step away for a moment, you do get a whole different dog. You also get the part of the dog that she now decides misbehaving is ideal. So I'm just going to find my big curves because a lot of this is not going to be staying. Now, I think it's going to help me to see what I'm trying to do by taking off a lot of the extra hair that is not going to be a part of the trim, no matter what I do. Uh, So one of the biggest things with the scissored continental or modified continental is you're looking for smooth lines. And that's one of the things you're looking for. So you're looking for a beautiful curve. There are no angles in the trim. So from the neckline to the chest line, we just should start lifting right at this point here, coming up and around. And Cinder says, I would rather not cooperate with this man. Not my idea. Have a good time. And that's okay. But the goal of the trim is smooth lines. So it's a continuous smooth line from here all the way up to here and here, and creating and showing off what the angles of the dog are. Now, one thing that's coming off is a lot to do with her ears there. Yeah. She doesn't like it be scissoring in her ears. She says it's too loud. She does not like that. Nope. So you can see that there is a shape starting to take effect here. Nope. And this is the part where she is not easy to do. So she definitely needs some more practice. And once again, they wouldn't be doing it at this point. But because I am not as experienced a groomer as other groomers, I need to be able to start seeing that shape before I start making those lines. Which she does not make easy on me. And she said that was a favorite hair. Why did you scissor that off of me? So that's what's great. You can see where the illusion of her shoulder is, which would be about here. And I want to create that angle as well. So in which we're going to be doing that. Joyce, she's like, what? Why? She has never been an easy dog to cinder. Unfortunately, it is one of the challenges of cinder. But as you can start to see, we're taking some shape in here into the shoulder. We're creating those nice curves as I figure out where my line is going to be for that jacket. And I think we're going to use like 3 scissors here. And we're going to go, where's the rib cage? There's the rib cage. So here's that swoop. There's the point where I think we would like that to be. So I'm just going to slide my scissors up. So I'm creating a nice straight line, which is really hard when you have a dog that refuses to stand straight. So that should allow me to be able to see that line a bit better. So that I can hopefully go in and find the shade line that I need. So stop. Just gonna try to do my best to follow that scissored line. If it's a little bit crooked, I do have some months in which to get it fixed. So it's not the end of the world. Because this dog that wants to turn its body into a C as you're trying to do a straight line across the body is, well, safe to say, it's not an easy task. Oh, you're fine. Apparently, we've reached the point where all her hairs are sensitive. So I want to see my line clearly. I'm just trimming up near it because once again, those smooth lines that we're looking for. So I'm just gonna assist myself with that by allowing my clippers to go up her body a little bit here from the created line, which I'm hoping is the right line. Okay. And that line has to go, of course, right down underneath. Could I do this with scissors? Probably. Do I prefer to do this with clippers? 100%. So we're slowly seeing a dog take shape here. And at the same time, I'm also coming up and I'm trimming back my rosette some too. And I'm hoping of getting them more or less the same shape. We'll find out. Once again, I have a few months in which I can tweak and fix and alter this design in any way I feel is necessary. We will finish these rosettes off by scissoring them, but right now I just want to make sure that I more or less have the correct shape on them. And that's all we're doing. We're more or less making sure that they are a beautiful little bowl of circle. Okay, I did not even realize she had enough hair for little rosettes. So I'm actually a little bit surprised by this. Something not quite right about this side. It's not quite the right shape. So we'll play with that a bit more later, but yeah, this line for her jacket is still definitely a bit crooked, I would say. Now that I'm on the other side. Oh. Yeah, I definitely, this side is definitely in a different position than the other one. I definitely did not get what I wanted out of this side. But once again, she does not make it easy on me, so I'll take what I get and we'll do what we can. So, but yeah, slowly but surely we are getting the different dogs. I'm just going to give you a better angle so you can see what we're looking at here with this dog. Here she's showing on both cameras. She's like, I don't care. I am not happy. I'm a very angry poodle at this moment. So I'm also going to take some length off this because this is too long. But other than that, it is just fine as far as that goes, other than shaping underneath here. Not the end of the world. But we can always fine tune it another day. Really hoping that mat would be in a place I could just scissor it off, but let's look. I might just scissor it off anyway, just because it's annoying me. And as I said, we have a few months, so. And it's right near the end. There we go. That's better. All right. So we sort of have a set for that. So the only thing left to shape now is her face and neckline. And then it's a matter of just scissoring it the rest into position. Or as close as we can get, because as I said, it looks like we have some crooked lines here because somebody does not like to make this easy on anyone. So let's check. So that clipper is a little warm at this point. So I am going to switch it out for a new one. Because it's brown, like a open rose. I'm really, why do they call it a rose? That I mean, blame the French for that one, I guess. All right, so Now she doesn't, especially when she's had enough for the day, she's not the greatest about having her face shaved either. So this might be a little on the fun side. We're just going to turn the table. So maybe I can sit down and do this again and you all can still see her. Hi, Cynthia. Hey, Cinder. There's a few things that we need to make sure are done. Number one of the things you hate, which is shaving the inside here to make sure that we get that airflow. She is not a big fan of that. And we also want to make a line, a nice clean line. Stop. A nice clean line between the ear and the corner of the eye. And that is actually part of the trim. Oh, baby. Oh, baby. And say hello to Brew, the troublemaker herself. Stop. Cinder. That's it. Cinder's not exactly the easiest dog when it comes to shaving her face. But believe it or not, this is greatly improved from where she was as a puppy. As a puppy, it was almost impossible to shave her face. You're fine. Stop. Again. Denny. So when you're figuring out how low to take this is you want to find the bump of their vocal cords and you want to take it to, but not past the curve of their neck. If she were an easier dog to show this on, I would show it on her. But I am better off just trying to get her face shaved as quickly as possible because she said this is not the easiest part to do on her. Flamer. I mean, it's going to be at least a little bit ticklish, but she also doesn't like me holding her head up, which I need to do to make sure I don't cut her neck while I'm shaving around under her chin. But she apparently would prefer to be cut because she fights me on it every time. So we also want a line from the ear. Stop. 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 Cinder. Thank you. So we also want a line from the ear down the neck. Going inward to get a point, as I said, below their chin on their neckline here, down about here. Which is easier to do if your dog lets you hold their head up to see exactly where that line should be, rather than beating you every time you try to shave under them. Oh, She really does not want to make that easy on me in any way, shape, or form. Ever. It's just once in my life I would like her to make that part easy on me. Okay. Oh. Strong. And that's causing a cinder. But she's got way too much fluff on the underside of her ear, so I'm just going to take that out. Looks like there's still some matting in there too. So, which is why my clippers are having a hard time getting through. So, and see, she does not make this easy for me at all to give her a clean face. I really wish she did. But unfortunately, apparently this is a hill she's willing to die on, is whether or not I can give her a clean face, which is necessary for show poodles, madame, unless we cannot show with a mustache. And unfortunately, the way she jerks her head is what causes it to be more likely that I might end up accidentally hurting her because she's a silly dilly. So I'm thinking I have the line close to the right spot. I'm not going to know until I start scissoring around her neck, which she also apparently hates that I do. So I'm going to go this side because it felt like there's some matting in here that I hadn't dealt with yet. So, and yes, there definitely is. So I'm going to just try and get that quickly brushed out before I damage my scissors on it. Oh. Yeah, I'm still gentle with her. She may frustrate the bejesus out of me, but I mean, it's not like I can reason with her. She's the dog, and I just have to do my best to try and assure her that I'm not intending to hurt her. She's gonna be okay. This is just what needs to be done right now. So, and unfortunately, not her fault. Not exactly. She's just a dog. And even if I want to treat her like my little human baby, she's still just a dog. And that is. What are you doing? What are you doing? So what I do sometimes, and I find actually works fairly well, is sometimes I will, if they're sitting straight enough, you can actually scissor their chest from this point. And what I'm doing is I'm just gonna make sure is what I'm doing is trying to follow the natural curves of her body. So I want to create a shape that comes out from the shoulders. Stop, you're fine. Comes out from the shoulders and then goes in above the shoulders. So we want an even curve. Think like old Harley Davidson motorcycle. It's that's kind of the way my brain likes to think about it. You kind of want it looking a little bit like the tank of a Harley Davidson motorcycle. So, and so that's why I generally use my curves, because I want to get those nice, smooth, curved shapes. So, and that also includes, we're going to bring a lot of this shorter. So she's going to hate this because she doesn't like me scissoring near her ears too much. But that's one thing we want, is we want to see this shape narrow in over here. So while I wanted to shape a lot of this out, since she said, no, thank you, ma'am, that's not happening today, I'm going to use my scissors to try and create the shape I want instead. And I'm just going to be extra careful, make sure of the near areas I don't want to accidentally cut like skin, that I am just being a little extra careful there. So and that's what I tend to do when I'm thinking about this. As I said, I think about it like almost like a Harley Davidson motorcycle tank, old school stuff. And you have that beautiful, smooth, um, cohesive shape. And that's one of the things I want, right from the back all the way up the head. So So, ma'am. Yeah, I know. Good girl. So I'm just. I know. I know. So, hoping to get the trim finished today. I'm not gonna hold it against me or her if I don't quite get it finished, but it's something that needs to be done so that I can continue to fine tune it over the next few months. So, and this also means I'm going to be trimming up her ears because, well, some people don't mind a longer ear like this in their modified. Even because it is an unbroken line at the top, which is fine in AKC, and it's not defined in CKC, Canadian Kennel Club, on whether or not a broken line is allowed. So we do allow the broken line, but I don't like the broken line. Some people don't mind it. I definitely do. So way too much hair on the side of the neck there, and I do want to bring that in quite a bit on both sides. That's it. We want to have everything going to this beautiful point where the sternum is right there. So you want to create these points that you work towards, create these beautiful circles. Soft. And that's what you're trying to do, is you're trying to create the shape that all moves. Every circle that you do, there's a cat on my chair. I'm about to sit down, but there's a cat on my chair. So every shape you do moves towards that point. And that's what we're trying to do here. And while it's not ideal trying to do this while she's sitting down, there are some shapes we know we can build in, even while she's doing this silliness here. So this is her neck, and we're going to create that illusion. Well, not illusion, because she does have a beautiful neck. And we are creating that neck here. We're not really creating the neck, but we're showing off where her neck is. So again, we're bringing that line down towards that point. Now I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. I'm going to hold here, and I'm going to create that curve down towards that point, which would be a lot easier if she also held her head up. Okay. Yeah. So this is the part. I know a lot of people don't agree with carving with clipper, but this is something I learned to do very early on in grooming. And if you're very, very careful and your dog is very, very still, which with a dog like Cinder, it's always a risk, you can actually carve in a lot of the shape too. Because she's still got way too much hair on her sides. And I could take a lot of this off, but if I want to create a smooth shape, and I do want to create that smooth shape. And there she goes again. She's gonna always try and move for me. This is how I know she needs more time on the table. Mom's hit a point where my wrist is starting to hurt, which means I may have to stop anyway, whether or not I want to at this point. So slowly but surely becoming a very different dog. One that hopefully will one day look like she belongs in this show ring, as she is a very, very, very nice dog in terms of poodle structure. But yes, I do. Unfortunately, we have some issues with pain. I'm going so much that I can deal with in terms of grooming. So she's near finished, although it's a lot of hair off and a lot of mats removed. But we're just not much closer to having a dog that's going to be much easier for me to maintain, and she'll be a lot happier in this trim as well. So. And I still feel a few little mats in her that I missed. So I'm just gonna give her a quick comb through, see if I can get them out. Just because those little mats will turn into bigger mats along the way. However, since she will need to be done up and ready to go for Canada Day, obviously I can't leave her next groom off for too long because she does need to be ready for that. Come on, baby, can I stand up for a second? So. Yeah, I might have to. I don't like not keeping going. Just because I do know that in a week I want to be able to have her decent enough for the public to be able to see her. So stop. And I really want to quit, but at the same time, I'm in this. She could be better than this. This trim can be definitely better than what it is. Just hold it just a little bit longer. Maybe it won't be a total embarrassment and she won't look toppy for the public. And I know Alindra probably saying, well, if you think you should quit, you should quit. I can't do the chat from here. But when you get this far in and you know that you find it a challenge to get through it again, you're going to want to put the time in to try and finish it off so it doesn't look like a choppy mess. I mean it. Yeah. My house will be in the not doing anything of it end by tomorrow. Maybe work on some of my writing. This here can go. Oh, she's like, I don't like that, Mama. Mama, I don't like that. And well, Cinder and the dog, well, they're sitting in the dough now. If Cinder doesn't want to cooperate with me, I'll do the best I can with what she is giving me. But you know, I've seen worse tramps, not in the show ring, thankfully, but I've seen worse. Well, ma'am, you backed up all the way to the back of the table. Where do you think your back legs would go? What? Where did you think your back legs would go? Okay, so Lee's not looking quite as choppy as it was when I originally said I wanted to be done. But, you know, there's still a ton of room for, really, ma'am? Ma'am, thank you. There's a lot of room for improvement still. A very, very lot of room for improvement. And Peter and I both definitely need the practice. Because gosh, when my friend scissor, it's beautiful and plush. But I haven't even done her feet. That's okay. Brew, I need my chair back, please. Thank you. But better than it was. She's closer to what I want. And I think the only thing we're going to do, because I have left it a little long, I'm going to give her a couple of little baby bands. So that she can see a bit better. And then I'll sweep up and we will, well, call it a day and then I will sweep up. It is also, oh, wow. It's 5:30 now for me. So that means it's pretty much getting really close to dinner time for us here. And I don't think I even thought about taking anything out because I am smart like that at the martini. So yeah, it's definitely time to call it for today. But we'll probably be on later this week because I am going to have to put a little bit more work into this trip before we can call it done. I'm just going to split her hair up here. And I'm going to put what we call little baby horns in her. Normally I would use a thing for splitting it, but I did not take that out of my grooming kit this time. And so this will just have to do for now. It's not the kind of line we like to see when doing this. Because clean lines means you are less likely to mat or break hair. And I have a whole other lesson here. Just gonna lift her head up so I can see what I'm doing. Probably one of the hardest things about putting elastics in this dog is that she likes to drop her head when you do it, which does make it really hard because then the hair moves forward. Okay, and we're just gonna pull them so that they're not pulling on her, and there we go. So there's our City Binny. We still need another good scissoring done to her before we're even anywhere near where the sheep we want. And while this is a groom I'm used to doing, I am not used to doing it on this particular dog because, well, let's be honest, you've seen she doesn't really make anything all that easy on me. But I do love her. She is overall a very good girl. And no, I'm not scissoring just a little bit more. You've seen nothing. Nothing is happening here. Nothing at all is happening here. I am not obsessive at all. I totally am not just seeing these divots and stuff that are going to drive me mental in a few days before I really get to doing the rest of this trim. Not seeing that at all. You're not seeing that at all. It's just not happening. Not happening at all. Okay. Alrighty. So thank you for those who did keep me company during this. If I missed any questions or comments, I'm really, really sorry about that. But it's hard to pay attention to too many things while I need to pay attention to my dog the most. So you guys will have a great whatever time of the day it is, and I'm glad you enjoyed yourself. And have a great whatever time of day it is. I am gonna go personally make my dinner and dinner for my dogs. Thank you very much.